kind of think of Shelley as like the Justice League. Everyone talks about, Brinley Cannon, but they're kind of like the Justice League. They just have a nice set of characters that back them up.
When it comes to high school sports, East Idaho never gets its due.
I ran into Jeremy Hess, the AD of Grace Lutheran, and, he was just excited. And then, I'm just talking to him and he goes, we have 7 girls. So just amazing.
But the East Idaho Prepcast has changed that, covering the biggest sports stories from Salmon all the way down to Bear Lake.
And again, Grace is always that team just kind of lurking, like, yeah, there's Grace. They, they don't have social media, but you know what? They have footballs, they got grass, and they got pads, and they use all those very well.
It's the East Idaho Prepcast with Sean Kane on IdahoSports.com.
That's right. Welcome to another edition, a holiday edition of the East Idaho Prepcast on IdahoSports.com, breaking down top stories from Districts 5 and 6 of the great Idaho high school athletics. Great to have you with us on this Martin Luther King Jr. Day. It's Inauguration Day, and it's a holiday for a lot of us, including for this man right here, the East Idaho expert and insider, Sean Kane. Sean, welcome to Brunch with East Idaho, man.
Yeah, I got the Jordan jersey in the back. Still got some Christmas decorations up, Joel. I've been a little busy.
I like the Christmas, and you know what? I don't mind a little bit of Christmas in January. You know what I mean?
I felt like we didn't have Christmas. I don't know. It just seemed December seemed so long, but so fast, and the weather's been a little weird. But yeah, we've been rolling right along. Yeah, and it's the National College Football Championship today too. I mean, it's a big day. TikTok's back. I've never used TikTok, but I'm glad for everyone who needed it or whatever. But I'm thinking about doing workout videos. You know what I mean? Maybe we do the Sean Kane workout TikToks, but we'll leave that for another time. I don't want to self-promote. But yeah, a lot of action. We had a lot of action last week, and a little Monday morning edition for everyone to get ready for their week of high school basketball, and wrestling too is coming to an end. So yeah.
Yeah. So grab a warm beverage, get on your couch or get on your elliptical, whatever it's going to be. Start making that TikTok video of your of your workout, and join us for the next, hopefully just 30 minutes. We'll discuss some great matchups, some really cool initiatives that are going on across East Idaho, and some great athletes, and we'll get you on your way for the rest of your holiday and in preparation for this great week from East Idaho Sports. But before we get started, want to remind you to like and subscribe to this Prepcast, the East Idaho Prepcast, so you and your friends know when each episode drops, and we'll get that algorithm going. We'll fuel the algorithm, as they say, and we'll get a lot more hits and a lot more people enjoying the content that the great Sean Kane and myself try to bring you week in and week out.
Yeah, hit that like after, because with basketball season, me and Joel have a full slate, so it's not going to probably be our normal times, but
right.
So you might not catch us live, but when you catch it on your feed, go ahead and like that, help that out. It doesn't matter if you watch it live or after. If you hit that like, that's really going to help us out on the best prepcasts Idaho has to offer.
You know it. And feel free to comment. Leave a comment in the comment section, either live or afterwards. We'll try to answer your questions, either live on the show or afterwards if you comment afterwards. And then want to remind everyone that we have a sponsor for this show, Ideal, Idaho's college savings program. Ideal is a state-sponsored tax-advantaged savings plan that helps families pay for the cost of college. With the rising costs of college, developing a savings plan is the first and most important step in helping families finance a college education. An Ideal 529 account can be used towards higher education, a trade school apprenticeship, or even student loan repayments. Get the student loans repaid, Sean. For more information, go to idsavings.org. And so we're grateful for Ideal, Idaho's college savings program, for sponsoring this East Idaho Prepcast. Sean, we want to start today, after getting paid some of those bills and doing some of the logistics. We want to start by talking about something a little more serious, but it's really important. Let me see if I can pull it up here. This great opportunity to...
Well, a lot of teams, I'll go ahead and say, yeah, a lot of teams,
Sure.
Do Cancer Awareness Month when that time hits, and different avenues to raise awareness. But the Thunder Ridge basketball team is going to do their 7th Pink Night, and they've done this for a few years now, where they basically do that cancer awareness, but it's geared usually to a specific person. So really great opportunity to support not only the basketball, but your community in Idaho Falls.
So here it is, as Sean said, here's the banner. Thunder Ridge's basketball presents the 7th annual Pink Night. This is this Friday at 6 p.m. at Thunder Ridge High School. Every year they try to find a student or an individual within the Thunder Ridge community that needs a little extra support, some funds. Well, this time it's actually a student. He's 17 years old. His name is Dominic Nunez. He's a Thunder Ridge student. And a little over a month ago, Dominic began experiencing some abdominal pain and was rushed to the emergency room. Well, after a series of tests, he was diagnosed with Sean with stage 4 rhabdomyosarcoma, which is a rare and aggressive form of cancer. So since then, he's undergone 2 surgeries. And over the next 15 to 18 months, his treatment will involve further surgery, chemo, and radiation at Huntsman Center down at the Great Primary Children's Hospital in Salt Lake. So Thunder Ridge High School and their basketball players are putting on this fundraiser for Dominic to support him and his family. Anything you can provide would be greatly appreciated. They're going to auction some items at this Friday at Thunder Ridge High School at the basketball game during their Pink Night. So again, excuse me, this is not this Friday. This is next Monday. Apologize, Sean. It's actually
27th.
Next Monday, the 27th. I was thinking the 27th was this Friday, but it's Monday, January 27th at 6 p.m. at Thunder Ridge High School. Show up, and as they say, let's help Dominic innate cancer. Great initiative there from Thunder Ridge High School. If you want to know how you can support, there is here you got the banner here. There's also their QR code right there in the bottom left-hand corner. You can click on that and find ways to support Dominic, his family, and the Thunder Ridge basketball team. Sean, love promoting these. We got this information from a parent involved at Thunder Ridge High School. If any of you want to promote other opportunities here where we can support, our community here in East Idaho, please let us know. But great opportunity here, Sean, to help out Dominic.
Yeah, and I know this is a big deal for the AD too at Thunder Ridge. The Thunder Ridge has not had the best year. They had some tragic accidents as well. There's just been a lot of heartache for the Titans, and Travis Hobson, such a great AD, really supports the student athletes, and he'll be there. I hope he watches this and I want to see him in like a big pink polo at this, or maybe salmon, to get a little lighthearted, but man, rough. My heart goes out to the family, but what a great job for the school to support Dominic in this endeavor.
So good luck to Dominic, his family, as they go through the surgeries and the chemo and the radiation, and everyone else. We hope you can come out and support Monday, January 27th, 6 p.m. auction. Find out what more you can do. Hit that QR code with your phone, and we'll support Dominic Nunez in this during this really hard time. Thoughts and prayers to him. Truly thoughts and prayers, not just to say that, but we really are hoping and praying that everything goes well with Dominic Nunez. Sean, we've had some great performances across East Idaho this week. Our team of the week, moving into some boys basketball. You saw these guys play live last Friday. You and I were texting, or Thursday. You and I were texting about them back and forth. It was Friday. Rockland Boys Basketball, Sean. How was it seeing those guys live? They are our team of the week.
Hey, I mean, the road to Rockland is easy, but the road back is tough. Figuratively and literally, there's a lot of snow. But Rockland, first of all, I have to shout out to Andy Nelson, the AD, Coach Neal, for setting me and Logan Kelso up. And what I would say is the best way to broadcast a basketball game I've ever been a part of. They have the weight room overlooking the basketball court. They've obviously added some buildings as the school's grown. And so we just had these windows open in our own private little viewing of the game, could see everything, had our own private bathroom. It was pretty great. So
did you have food, snacks brought up at halftime? Wow.
The film kid brought us nachos. They kept asking us if we needed stuff, and it was great. It smelled good. What an exciting atmosphere game. Yeah. So Rockland, Dietrich 1-2, any way you cut it. They go out and play this game, and it's my first basketball game of the season, Joel, and I was ill prepared for how the pace of this game and my broadcasting technique. So anyone who had to watch that, I apologize, but I think I settled in. But both teams, man, went out, and I don't know, the game got over so fast. I don't think I've been a part of it. It started a little early, but it got over so fast. There's hardly any fouls, and just up and down. And Coach Neal, I could tell talking to Coach Neal before the game, he was up there, giving us some inside info, and you could kind of tell like he was like nervous, but also like really excited and able to he was wanting to talk about his team, but also like, man, we got some business to take care of. And
yeah,
Rockland did. They came out and Dietrich got ahead early, I think by 7 or 9, and then basically Rockland worked their way back in and won the game by 20. That, I'll tell you, that score is not indicative of that game. So they both teams had kind of the same thing. They go down about as quickly as they can, put up a shot, and Dietrich put up a lot more threes, and then Rockland decided to spread it out and go inside with their guards, Parrish, Louder, and Aiden Radford, the great wide receiver who was our player of the game, ended up with 22 points. And yeah, it was just good. And these two teams will definitely, I think, meet again later on. But yeah, Rockland moves to 12-1, 5-0 in conference. Both teams are 11-1 going into the game. Someone had to lose. For Dietrich, I don't think it's I don't think you're like, oh man, this is out of hand.
Yeah.
Connor Perkins, a great quarterback for Dietrich, you might remember.
Yeah.
He
touchdowns galore, throwing, running.
Coach Neal said he hadn't played the last few games. So going into this, they didn't know if he was going to play. He did end up playing. He made some threes at the start, and then he kind of couldn't quite find his mark. But if he gets back into that, basketball shape, he's just a amazing player too, and Alvarado and different players. So Dietrich was really good. But we have to give, Rockland won. They're the true number one right now going forward. I don't see a lot of games where Rockland's going to lose. We'll maybe preview one.
Yeah,
as the only real, like, it doesn't mean you can't lose any night of the week,
sure,
right, in that conference. But I'm just saying the one that I see coming up, we'll talk about a little later. I'll just tease it, but that might be the only game, so they might win out.
Yeah,
and that number one seed, could be very crucial. I think going forward, if you go back and look at the brackets last year, I think they were a 4. Played a hard Cascade team, but Rockland firing all cylinders, coached extremely well. Both teams coached extremely well. Shea Deal of Dietrich, had his team going pretty good. Just couldn't quite hit the shots, but yeah, Rockland, the team of the week. Kind of a little under the radar, I think, in 1A basketball. I mean, not really. They're ranked number 1. You go into that third-party arbitrary system, it lists them as number 1 as well. That's what I'm going to refer to it as now. I told Logan Kelso that also. So
I love it.
Third party. But yeah, Rockland, what a team. Everyone's involved. He pretty much only plays 6 players. And yeah, and they have a couple players that are out from injury from football that didn't play football. A couple others are hurt, can't play. So they are as thin as ice. So, I mean, really going forward, they just hope there's no injuries, because one injury could be extremely devastating, I think, for this team, just because everyone contributes. But yeah, Rockland, congratulations, Coach Neal. Aiden Radford is our IdahoSports.com player of the game, who had just an amazing sequence of events where there's a ball, it was tossed to 2 or 3 people behind the back, save out of bounds. Anyway, Aiden ends up with it, lays it up, and then a couple of plays later, he does a step back 3 for a 4-point play. Doesn't make the 3 throw, but that got the crowd. The crowd was so loud that no one heard the foul. Like, they kept playing. They called a foul on his 3-point shot, but no one heard the whistle It was so loud in there and kind of was the change of the game. And yeah, so Rockland, congrats to them.
Yeah, and they're a team of the week, but they've had an amazing season, Sean. They're 5-0 in conference play. They're 12-1 overall. Their only loss coming during that Cary Holiday tournament in Cary to Butte County. That was a 10-point loss. Butte County is another big favorite there this time in 2A now, right? But they're a favorite in 2A. So the fact that Rockland lost by 10 to Butte County, that game was also closer than the score indicates. Rockland is on a tear. So having a great season, we had to find a time to shout them out this season. And so it happened to be this week. Rockland boys, after Sean saw them live play against one of the top teams in 1A, which is Dietrich. Rockland is so surprising. Maybe I shouldn't say surprising, but it's so cool that all these kids run cross country. They play football and they're also playing basketball. And we've heard this story before, right? Sean, Rockland got through to the quarters of the semis with like their third string quarterback or whatever it was, right?
With a bag of potato chips and a water bottle, basically.
Exactly. And these kids just keep fighting tooth and nail to get to the next game, to get that touchdown, to get that bucket. So it's really, you mentioned Rockland is, as a short bench, they can't allow any more. They can't have any more injuries, but they continue to win. Man, 12-1 with a small team is really impressive, and it's just kind of been Rockland's drumbeat this entire fall season, and now going into winter.
And I will say, when the game was over, Rockland acted like they had won a championship. That's like how into it. And sometimes I don't like that as a coach.
Sure, yeah.
But for that game, because I had to quickly run down and get the stats because I couldn't keep the stats. It was I'm not Brandon Baney, and the game was too fast.
And
totally. So I had to go get them, and everyone contributed. So it was like, how do we find a player of the game? Everyone played so well. So I ran down, and the stat guy, he hadn't even tallied up the stats yet. So that's how fast it was. But as I was going down, they're running into their locker room, and these guys were excited, like
hyped.
And it kind of gave you chills. Coach Neal was kind of sitting down, kind of like, that relief of getting through the game and excitement. So it was they were filming it and stuff. So I hope they captured that, because it was a very sports-esque picture where the team's jumping in and Neal's kind of just sitting, waiting for his team to come in, and the town of Rockland so pumped up. But yeah, it was very cool to see that excitement. I mean, they've like you said, just like you just said, they've had a lot of struggles, Rockland. You don't have, football. It's like next guy up. I mean, there is no more guys.
Right.
I mean, you've got every guy that is capable out there. Yeah. And if they're not playing, they're running the camera or doing something. Everyone was involved. What a great atmosphere, a game in Rockland, Idaho.
Right on. So Rockland Bulldogs boys basketball, they are our East Idaho Prepcast team of the week. Let's go into our player of the week, Sean. Preston's Reggie Larsen. The dude has scored 20 or more points in 6 games this season. He just had a great game the other night. This conference, we've talked about this conference between Century, Pocatello, and Preston. Preston being that top dog right now, the favorite to win the conference. Century's nipping at their heels a little bit, but the fact that Reggie Larsen in this conference has been able to do what he has done this season, and especially this week, he's got to be our player of the week, our East Idaho Prepcast player of the week, Reggie Larsen. What do you know about Reggie, Sean?
Oh, man, Reggie, I think – even the games he doesn't have the highest score total, he's really kind of the glue of that team. He's like 6'4". He's taller than he looks. He's a tall guy, and he can shoot threes. He can go in and rebound. He does a lot of the little things, right? In that Century game where Preston hangs on to win, he had 4 or 5 offensive rebounds and then made all his 3 throws. And he didn't have 3 throws until that fourth quarter, made those, basically seals the deal. But Reggie Larsen, had 36 points in that game, and then the other night against Shelley, he had 17. I mean, Preston's got so many weapons. There's someone we could pick to be the player of the game every night. But from what I've just seen, Reggie Larsen is the cream in that coffee right now. He's making it just a little sweeter.
Right on. And Reggie Larsen, a good football player as well, right? I think he plays mostly kind of in the backfield, getting some carries there for the Preston football team, who also had a good season this year. So Reggie Larsen is our East Idaho Prepcast Player of the Week. And again, playing in that conference is super tough.
Yeah.
And Reggie Larsen doing work
And
for that team.
And I will say too, like Preston is a team that only plays 6 players as well, right?
Right.
So they have more players on their bench. They've got some JV players that definitely could play, but they really only run 6 deep, and Preston will run you out of the gym if you're not careful. So it's just a credit to Ty Jones and that team to be prepared to do that. I mean, I would get scared to be running that fast and only playing 6 players, but they did it. And Reggie kind of leads that battle, and just a lot of different aspects. I think you're going to hear other names from that Preston team, but I think it was definitely deserving to give him a shout out for what he's put forth on the plate as of recently.
Yeah, and he's also a senior, so good luck to him in this senior year. The dude's 6'4", playing really well. That whole Preston team, man, is so fun to watch. But we wanted to give Reggie Larsen some love, having a great season. Keep up the good work, kid, and we'll continue to follow you here on the East Idaho Prepcast. Sean, let's go into some of the biggest games from this past week from boys and girls basketball. We'll preview the most intriguing matchups that are coming up, and then we'll get out of here. For boys basketball, Sean, so we had Century versus Preston. We had Rockland versus Dietrich that we already talked about, and Snake River versus Sugar. Which of those 3 games do you want to discuss?
I'm going to transition into the Century versus Preston one.
Perfect.
I mean, I probably beat Rockland Dietrich to death already, but it was a great game. But the Century Preston game, as good as that Dietrich Rockland game was Friday night, the Century Preston game is the best game I've seen live, I think, this year by far. It was such a good game. Ends up Preston holds on to win 73-69, and it was just a good game. You got to see why Preston is the number 1 ranked team, and you got to see the improvement from the Century Diamondbacks. So you just had a game that is there are many factors to it, right? And the factor we'll talk about all the time is only one of these teams is going to get a go. And I'll be honest, I was talking to Dan Hubbard, the radio guy, and a couple other Preston people, and I don't know if there's a team hungrier in the state to go to state than Preston. They've been left out 2 years in a row. How, maybe they should have won games. Maybe we should expand. Whatever you want to say. They didn't win the games they're not in. But they are hungry. This team, this town, they want to be in that state tournament. And whatever happens, but I think they're so hungry to be in that state tournament. It's another team, Preston. I don't see losing another game until state. Really, I mean, it'd be hard fought. They haven't played Pocatello yet. Century just lost to Pocatello in a close one. So, who knows? And then you got to beat a team twice. But what a good game. Adrian Gonzalez from Century had 25. Reggie Larsen had 36, 36, like I said.
Yeah.
He was 3 from 7 from the 3-point line. But listen to this. Preston shot 21 to 35 from the field goals, 2-pointers, 6 from 13 from threes. The only place they were kind of bad at, they were 13 from 21 from the 3-throw line, but they shot 60% from the field, 40% from 3-point line. Typically, if you have those kinds of numbers, you're going to beat a team by 20.
Yeah, right.
But, Century played hard, kept the scoring up. Adrian Gonzalez, like I said, hit a lot of just hard threes. But yeah, it was a hard game, and they'll do it again, and they'll do it again. There'll be a few more times, but yeah, just a great game. But just shooting those numbers, like I just think of those percentages, and like, how do you beat a team like that? And that was that was kind of their off night, I guess, is what they kept saying, right?
Because they missed their free throws.
They didn't shoot the ball on their broadcast. They're like, and we just didn't shoot the ball well. But I'm like, I don't know what coach
+%, man.
I don't know what coach would say if he's shooting 60% from the field is bad.
Yeah.
I think you'd take that anytime. And you feel like they shoot a lot of threes, but only to shoot 13. I thought that was low. Just the flow of the game. I thought they shot a lot more, but they didn't. But to go almost 50% from the 3-point line, you're just I don't know what more you want. So if that's their off night, good luck, Idaho.
Yeah, serious. And that game was at Century, right, Sean? You were
Correct.
there doing the PA announcing.
I did the PA, and it was high paced. Yeah, it was good.
Cool. And again, congrats to Ryan Frost for having a good season with Century and playing teams like Preston really close. I just had to shout out Ryan Frost and making sure he knew that I didn't forget his name. But
I talked to him, and they maybe could have rebounded a little better.
Sure.
I mean, there's not a whole lot you can go and say, man, we just didn't execute, or we played. I mean, you played really well. Preston's just a little bit better that day, and that's sometimes basketball. Yeah. I mean, going into it, you'd think Preston could maybe win this game by 20. So, it's a growth, right? It's a team that is growing before our eyes, which is the Diamondbacks, and it'll be really fun to see where they end up at the end of the season. Unfortunately, they're just in that conference, right?
Yeah.
I mean,
totally.
That's the problem.
Yeah. Well, Sean, I think that's a good call, that Century versus Preston game. There was another great game. We already mentioned Rockland Dietrich, but Snake River versus Sugar. That was a battle of 4A powerhouses. Snake is top in their conference, Sugar as well. And that one came down to the wire, 57-55. I want to say Sugar ended up winning that one. Was it Snake?
I believe it was Snake River.
I think you're right. I think it was Snake. Excuse me. So Snake River, yeah, it was Snake River. This game was at Sugar Salem. Snake River won by a bucket. Super close. I'm very curious. Wouldn't be surprised, Sean. I know I'm getting ahead of myself, and this is boys basketball, so they're a few weeks behind girls. But man, wouldn't be surprised to see these two teams play in state. Hopefully, that wouldn't happen until later on in the tournament. But Snake River and Sugar, I feel like, Sean, they're just on a collision course. They're on a collision course. If they continue to win the games they're supposed to win, get past districts, get into state, and wouldn't it be fun to see those two teams play deeper in the state tournament? But really cool game there, close one, 57-55. Snake River takes it,
and they'll play again this Friday at Snake River. And I think I mentioned this before. I think Snake River is the team right now in.
12-1, right?
4A. I previewed them to be good. They've made me look good. They've only lost. They lost to Filer by 1 point in the very, very first game of the season, and they've had some big ones. They beat Blackfoot. Now this Snake River team, or Sugar Salem beat Blackfoot, but Snake River.
Their only loss was to Bonneville.
Bonneville, yeah, I was going to say a very good Bonneville team that just lost to Blackfoot. Now, don't get started on District 6 boys now, because that's that's a whole another thing right now with Blackfoot in the lead. But they only lost to Bonneville. It's a 10-point lead. They beat Idaho Falls, which is also another upper division team, pretty good. They beat Teton. They beat Sugar. They're kind of solidifying themselves as that top dog in 4A right now.
Yeah. So and Snake River has also they've defeated South Fremont, another one of those Mountain River Conference teams. Teton, those games are 54-42, 53-44. So Snake River is taking care of business. They're beating the teams they're supposed to beat. Yeah, they lost to Bonneville. That was in the East Idaho Holiday Shootout. And those tournaments can get a little funky sometimes. But a lot of these teams, they've played twice. They haven't played Sugar twice. And you mentioned, Sean, they play Sugar again on Friday, but this one's going to be at Snake River. So you have home court advantage. You already beat Sugar at Sugar, so you assume you win this game. But again, that win was only by 2 points. I think with home court, you get a couple more buckets. But that's going to be a great game this Friday. We're kind of jumping ahead on previewing biggest matchups, but that's going to be an awesome matchup this Friday.
Yeah, and a big shout out
on a roll
to Robert Combs, the Snake River head coach. Remember, he has more than 500 wins.
Yeah.
It's his 32nd year at Snake River. And a lot of people said this may be the best team. So, I mean, he's looking for 600 wins.
Mm-hmm. Well, so yeah, congrats to Snake River on that win against Sugar Salem. We'll be definitely watching how they do against South Fremont this Thursday, and then they got to turn around and get to and play Snake River or play Sugar Salem. But both those games are at home. South Fremont, Sugar, both at home Thursday and Friday. Get out to those games and should be good ones. All right, Sean, let's go into girls basketball. We had Skyline versus Blackfoot that I was at. Pocatello Thunder Ridge, you got some great information there. We also had South Fremont versus Teton last Wednesday, Sugar versus Teton on Friday after our interview with Sugar's head coach. Which of those games do you want to talk about?
Oh, wow. Well, I'll let you talk about Skyline Blackfoot, but let's go to the Battle of the Thunder, which I previewed.
Sure.
And remember, I said this might be a game. The Thunder Ridge Titans had been playing very well. They knocked off Rigby. I previewed this. I said this might be a game to keep an eye out. I don't think Thunder Ridge was getting much credit. Sure enough, it was. Pocatello Thunder Ridge battled, and it took overtime. It took extra time for the Pocatello Thunder to win that game 64-60, and they trailed in that game with 25 seconds. Garza hit 1 of 2 the free throw line. Thunder Ridge held for the final shot but turned it over, and then you get to OT. Titans take a 60-59 win lead. Then Riley Jackson hits a shot, and then the Thunder the Thunder of Pocatello, who do they go to? Abby Lusk, right? Abby Lusk puts up some big time scoring in that overtime to get it done. And talking to Logan Kelso, my broadcast partner, he's covered some Pocatello Thunder basketball for Channel 6 News, and he was texting me. He's like, Abby Lusk is the best player in the state. And I'm like, I've been saying that all year. She's done nothing but been awesome. And they have Liv Marshall too, Garza. They have a good complement of players, but they get through that game, and we talked about it. Pocatello, I think, needed a game like this because just looking at their schedule, where were they going to get challenged? They got challenged by a 6A team, and I think that's what they needed, and they needed a win, and I like that going forward for the Thunder of Pocatello. But again, Thunder Ridge, a team right now, I think you got to keep an eye on in a 6A conference that is just wonky. One point we're thinking Madison. Sometimes I get up real late at night and think Rigby. And then sometimes the Thunder Ridge team could sneak right in there as well. So really kind of a 3-team race. I think two go, but it could be any of those 3 right now.
Well, and you're right. Looking at the standings, you got Rigby at 7-0, so they're fine at that number 1 slot. They'll get the number 1 seed in the district tournament. Then you got Madison 3-2, Thunder Ridge 3-3, and Highland at 2-3. Canyon Ridge 0-7. They're going to get that lowest seed. Have to play. I think it's Rigby. I don't know if they do a bye in this High Country Conference in 6A. But yeah, you're absolutely right. Madison, Thunder Ridge, Highland on any given night, any of those teams are going to win. So the fact that the Pocatello Thunder from 5A got the win against Thunder Ridge, who's vying for that high max preps ranking, want to get that non-conference win against a really good Pocatello team. They had a lot They had a lot riding on that game, and Pocatello Thunder took care of business against Thunder Ridge. Sean, I'll talk about Skyline Blackfoot. Someone who might have something to say about Abby Lusk being the best team in the state is
best player, Shippen. One of the best players by far.
All right, one of the best players.
Is best player in District 5, but District 6 maybe. Oh yeah. We got a lot of good players in East Idaho. Yeah, I got to slow my roll sometimes. No, I get excited.
Okay. I love it. Hey, and maybe we'll get lucky, man, and have a little Skyline Pocatello
championship
in the state tournament, man.
But watch out, Blackfoot.
And dude, seriously, man. But Shay Shippen, we're coming in. We're Coach Hadley and I. Coach Hadley and I were on the broadcast. This is Coach Hadley from West Jefferson. Shout out to Coach Hadley, and he was such a great broadcast color guy to work with. That guy, he knows ball. He's coached basketball forever. He's the offensive coordinator for West Jefferson.
I get it, Joel.
Team. Yeah, I get it. He was amazing.
You don't want me anymore.
Hey, both can be true. I can love Sean Kane and I can love Coach Hadley. Okay, so we're going in and talking about Shay Shippen. She's got 2,000 plus points. She's going to Columbia. She's got the grades. She's got the skills on the court. And Shay comes out. Talk about broadcaster curse, Sean. Shay comes out not flat, but nothing going. She was getting double, triple teamed. They were getting blocks. They were getting steals on her. Blackfoot came out with a great game plan against Shay. But honestly, Sean, Shay was just missing. She was missing buckets that usually she makes down low. Now, Blackfoot has size, and that caused some problems. But I think Shea was, I don't know, nerves or whatever, but it just wasn't her. I'm not going to say night.
I think it's just a typical Blackfoot Skyline game, right?
Right?
They played more than 20 times in the last few years.
20 plus times, yeah.
And they meet up at state too. I mean, there's so much, I think, going into that game just from the culture of these two teams being top contenders in their division year in and year out. And that's a lot of pressure. And I don't think Shea Shippen takes the pressure like a lot of us. I mean, her performances prove that, but totally. It's a big game. And I think in the back of my mind, and I don't know if this is in the coaches and players, but even if you lose this game, you've got to play them again. So there's maybe relief that you won, but there's also like, we've got to figure a way out to do this again. And then 100%. If you lose, you're like, okay, we did this. We know what we do need to do next time. So, I mean, what a battle mentally and physically in that.
Yeah, and they do play again. I think they play the last game of the season, Sean, Skyline Blackfoot. Shea, I didn't want to say she had just a tough game. It was a tough half because Shea comes back in the second half. So it really was a tale of two halves, and it was really how Shea goes, so goes the Skyline team. Skyline was only down by a bucket or two going into halftime, despite Shea. I think she just had 4 points. Maybe she just had 2, but she had a very quiet first half. Well, Sean, Shea Shippen is Shea Shippen, and she comes in the second half. I think she dumped 16 or 18 points into the bucket, ends with 20 points after that, Sean. So anywhere from 16 to 18, the stats are a little fuzzy, but I think she got 20 points to end the game. Second half, she comes alive. Blackfoot, they had a bunch of breakaways in the first half. They hit their open shots, a number of threes, actually, some really good looking threes. They had blocks and steals, but in the second half, Skyline made their adjustments. Coach Keck doing Coach Keck things, and Skyline and Shea came alive in the second, hitting open shots. A clutch 3 from Shea. I believe it was late in the third quarter. Shea hit a 3, and from there she really took off. And then she was nails. She and her team were nails from the free throw line. Every free throw, Sean, was almost every free throw was a swish. Every player from that line was nails from the free throw line. And in that fourth quarter, the free throws were the difference. And they ended up winning 64-55, won by 9. Blackfoot goes cold in the second half. They had a few open looks, not as many fast breaks as they had in the first. And Skyline came away with that win. So for the standings right now, you got Skyline in first at 7-0. They should win the regular season. Blackfoot second at 5-2. They should be able to solidify that second seed unless something crazy happens, because the next closest, Sean, is Hillcrest and Shelley, which are both 4-4.
Yeah, and Blackfoot just beat Hillcrest this past week, 48-40. And Hillcrest is a team too. I wouldn't, if I'm Blackfoot or Skyline, you can't be looking past Hillcrest or even an Idaho Falls, whose record isn't amazing, but they've got some tall girls and they can play too. But yeah, what a battle. And I did watch a little bit of. I was at a game, and then on the computer that I run the scoreboard with, I had you pulled up, Joel. I just couldn't hear you, but yeah, it just looked like Blackfoot couldn't get anything to go in those final few minutes. Yeah, they're able to make one shot or something. Man, what a difference. But that's how those games go.
Totally. And Blackfoot, just to give you guys a little preview of Blackfoot's schedule, they got Shelley this Wednesday, then Bonneville on Friday, Skyline one more time next Wednesday, January 29th, 7:30. Be there. Going to be a great game. And then finally, they actually finish off with Highland. So their final conference game in the regular season is against Skyline next Wednesday, but their final game is against Highland. They should win that game. Highland girls have taken a step back this season. So Blackfoot has a chance to go at least 3-1. Maybe they can get 4-0 and get Skyline. They need Skyline to lose a game though to get that seed. I don't know how that if Blackfoot beats Skyline, and I'm not Bainey's bracketology here, but if Blackfoot gets a win against Skyline, they end the season conference 3-0, end the season 4-0 those last 4 games. But that means both teams have each lost to each other. So I don't know if it goes for
Yeah,
High country conference, how they change, how they adjust.
Probably is point differentials.
Right.
I would guess
common opponents maybe or something.
But every district has a different one, and I can find that out. But I'm pretty sure it will be the point differential. So maybe if Blackfoot beats Skyline by a bunch in the next game, then but either way, I think they come out 1 and 2, and then then who knows what happens.
And then who knows what happens in the district tournament. But yeah, Blackfoot and Skyline are playing really well. They're gonna be those top seeds in the district tournament as long as they take care of business. Again, High Country Conference sends 2 seeds to the 5A state tournament. So hopefully they can finish and get
them. Don't forget
Shelley and Hillcrest. Man, you never know what's going to happen in those district tournaments. Happened last year where Blackfoot upset Skyline in that first round of the district tournament. Skyline had to go back and win again, and Skyline ended up going. But yeah, watch out for that Shelley and Hillcrest. But so far, Skyline, Blackfoot, Skyline won that game, but both those teams taking care of business besides that Skyline Blackfoot game that is always a good one. And it was a good one again.
Oh, yeah. I mean, yeah. Whew.
And then South Fremont played Teton last Wednesday. South Fremont won that game 55-47. And then Sugar was watching that game, Sean. We had Coach Crystal Daly on the show, right, on Monday night, and she was very curious how the game was going to go. Sean, they did their scouting really well, and we gave them a little good karma going in, right? You be on our show, coaches. You're going to win your next game. It's happened so far. It's the guarantee.
The Joel guarantee, yeah. And they won dominating over Teton.
Dominated 69-33. Sugar continues their dominance, 17-0, 1-0 in conference play.
Yeah, they've so now you've kind of got a barometer, right? South Fremont, Sugar are the top teams in this conference. Now Teton losing, they're still not bad though, right? No. I think you're just showing how good South Fremont and Teton are. And the South Fremont versus Teton was closer than the Sugar game. Again, sometimes scores aren't vindicative of what's going to happen, but if anything, you could still have some craziness happen in this conference. But right now, Sugar is the top dogs, and can't wait to see when they go against South Fremont.
Yeah, definitely. Well, let's go into that, Sean. The most intriguing matchups coming up this week, and maybe a little bit of next, depending on when our next show is next week. But folks, continue to hit that like and subscribe so people know when we're on. Between Sean Kane doing all his basketball games for Century, I'm all over the place trying to broadcast as many games as we can for Idaho Sports. It can be tough during basketball season to find that Wednesday 7:30 that we did so well with during football season. So now we're sometimes doing Mondays, sometimes we're doing Thursdays. So hit the like and subscribe so you and others know when the show has dropped or when it is dropping, and no one will miss a show.
And I had to give one more quick shout out because we talked about them before. It was the Malad Dragon girls.
Yeah.
We tried to coordinate a time to get Trevor Jones on because they're having such a good season, and he kind of previewed me the upcoming week. I thought the big game was going to be against Wendell, but they went ahead and Malad beat Firth 59-35. They beat Aberdeen 74-38, and then Saturday they did beat Wendell 52-24. So I was wrong at that being a big game, but a new team to the conference. But Malad's still on a tear. They haven't lost since the very first game to Bear Lake back in November 15th. So again, a big shout out to Malad Dragon girls. I don't see them losing a game really to finish out the regular season. So
I agree.
It'll be I still think the conference tournament will be good. I think so does Springs, although they haven't performed that well against them. They're still 5-1, but Malad, wow. A team right now that is on a tear, the Dragons.
Yeah, they are. So congrats to the Malad girls, the Malad Lady Dragons basketball team doing such a good job. Hey, we want to also remind everyone, Ideal We're so grateful for Ideal for sponsoring this East Idaho Prepcast. Ideal is a state-sponsored, tax-advantage savings plan that helps families pay for the cost of college. With the rising cost of college, developing a savings plan is the first and most important step in helping families finance a college education. An Ideal 529 account can be used towards higher education, a trade school, apprenticeship, or even those nasty student loan repayments. For more information, go to idsavings.org and get going on that Ideal 529 plan. All right, Sean, most intriguing matchups coming up this week. We got girls hoops. We got boys hoops. For girls this Wednesday, Sugar versus South Fremont. We teased it earlier. Thursday, it's going to be at Marsh Valley versus Bear Lake. Saturday, at American Falls versus Marsh Valley. And then down to 1A basketball, Sean, you got Ledor at Chalice. Of those games, which one are you most excited to watch, to listen for?
I mean, obviously, I think everyone in 4A wants to see Sugar South Fremont and see what happens.
Right.
I think you just want to get that barometer with that team, with that conference having so many wins. You want to see which teams there, especially the team up north probably wants to see what happens there. And that one is pretty good. And I think Ledor too. I've been big on Ledor girls basketball, and Chalice having a good year. And you've got to, it's just, again, that big conference. So that'll be a good one. Chalice having some good games here and there. Ledor strengthening their skills as they go on. So that'll be a good one as well.
Yeah, and I think Ledor, they're number 2 in the conference, 1 loss in conference, and Chalice number 3 in conference, 2 losses. Again, all these teams are vying for that what is it called, the district tournament seeding, and then those max preps rankings, because they're going to matter coming up really shortly. And so I like the Ledor at Chalice. I'm also looking at I think that Marsh Valley Thursday and then Marsh Valley Saturday is very intriguing. Marsh Valley versus Bear Lake. Bear Lake is number 1. They've had a great season, had a great volleyball season, and going right into basketball. Right? This is for girls hoops.
Mm-hmm.
But Bear Lake is 1. Marsh Valley is 2. Can Marsh Valley can they upset Bear Lake and sneak their way into that 1 seed? Again, we just have a few more weeks left of the regular season. And then Saturday, Marsh Valley has to go and play American Falls, which is not going to be easy. Again, Marsh Valley is number 2. American Falls is 3, but they're both 1-1 in conference. So it's going to be very interesting. If Marsh Valley loses to Bear Lake, can American Falls do something there against Marsh Valley? And it's going to be at American Falls. So they're going to have some home court advantage. Can American Falls get that win and sneak into that number 2 spot? So the Southeast Idaho Conference in 3A is very intriguing. So you got the Mountain Rivers Conference in 4A doing things, and you also got that Southeast Idaho Conference, which is, I would say, a little bit closer. I mean, yeah, you got Sugar and Teton and South Fremont pretty close, but I think Sugar is going to beat both those teams, no problem. But then, man, down there with Bear Lake, Marsh Valley, American Falls, that number 2 and number 3 is going to be very interesting. And I guess same with Mountain River, because you got South Fremont, Teton both vying for that second slot in the district tournament. So those games are going to be big coming up. I'm definitely going to be looking at those 2 as well. For boys hoops, we teased it earlier, Sean. Let's go for it. Rockland at Water Springs. That's going to be a big one, man.
That's it's the game you're circling. Rockland, I think, had a big lead up to this Dietrich game, and now you kind of have that we got this, but hey, we've got Water Springs, who's no slouch, and they're kind of like Skyline Blackfoot. They meet a ton of times in the regular season. They met in the consolation final last year at state. Rockland wins that game, but Water Springs got a 6'10" player on their team, so at the 1A level, that's a little different, and it'll be interesting to see. I'm hoping that it is a battle, but just because I think in the conference they only let like 1 count as a conference game, and if they play twice, doesn't count. So that happens as well too. So it's an important game for both teams. I don't think any of them will have too much of a trouble getting through the rest of their conference opponents. It's a big game going forward, because again, however those rankings are, could could matter. They could end up playing again at state, right?
Yeah, definitely. And just look at some of the numbers. Like you said, they're 12-1 overall. 5-0 is Rockland's. Water Springs is 6-0 in conference play. Rockland, Sean, listen to these numbers. They're averaging almost 60 points a game. Their opponents are averaging about 36. Water Springs is averaging about 60, maybe 61 if you give that average bump it a little higher. And the opponents are averaging 37. If you do the math, which I did for us because I'm such a great East Idaho host, the difference is not even a point, Sean. It's 0.39 of a difference between the two teams. So it should be an all-timer. In football, it's the last one who has the ball wins. But in basketball, it may actually be the same thing. Whoever is holding the ball at the end, hitting that 3-pointer, hitting that layup, whatever it is, they might be the winner. Hopefully, this game goes to triple overtime and it becomes one of the best games in Idaho high school sports.
Yeah, I would tell you, Coach Neil from Rockland, he was really big on his team being defensively sound and rebounding the ball. Yeah. And for as much as I love that, there was no slowing down on offense as well. Like, I don't know if you wanted to give that credit out there, but they really attacked the rim a lot. And with Water Springs having some tall dudes down there, that'll be interesting to see if Rockland can get inside the paint and score, because that's what Rockland did in the game against Dietrich. They weren't hitting the outside shots, so they went inside, dribble, penetrate, dish off, try to get an offensive rebound. You might not have that with the Rock Springs, and this could be just so important, because if we look at that arbitrary ranking system, today Rockland is 1, Dietrich is 2, and Water Springs is 3. So if and let's be honest, we don't know how this thing works, but whatever happens, that Water Springs and Rockland, say we get to state, they could be on the same half of the bracket if one doesn't kind of take a little lead over the other one,
right?
And then another team that Rockland and Dietrich both beat is Cary, and I've watched Cary play, and they're no slouch either, and it kind of feels like a football thing we're talking about. Cary, Dietrich, Rockland.
Yeah, right. We've seen this story before.
It's 8-man football. Yeah, it's all the same names. But it'll be interesting to see where that goes. And then you've got Garden Valley and Cascade filling that out, and those are teams both Dietrich and Rockland have played. So to me, it's really, where does Water Springs fit in here right now? Ranked number 2 or number 3.
Right.
And where do they end up when this is all said and done? Very interesting. A win against Rockland it's got to be huge. I mean, they beat Rockland. Does Water Springs move up? Because that's the comparable. Rockland's beating everyone else that Dietrich's played. It's going to be, you're gonna have a lot of East Idaho in that 1A. I'm just telling you right now.
Definitely, and there usually is, right? East Idaho really does a great job in 1A hoops.
Ryan Skaggs from North Idaho also told me, and this will probably hurt his viewership, but he said 1A is probably one out of East Idaho. Just saying.
Well, hey, Ryan Skaggs, he's a smart guy. He knows ball, man. So that's 2. That's tomorrow night, everyone. Rockland at Water Springs. I think Water Springs, they have that home court advantage that gives them a couple buckets. But man, again, Rockland's defense rebounding, like you said, is really good. I also have speed, so I can't wait to see it again. Hopefully, Rockland stays healthy, because
we got to get to Water Springs sometime.
Right? We do need to get to Water Springs.
Yeah, it's in Idaho Falls, correct?
I'm not sure.
Yeah, it's in Idaho Falls. Yeah, we've got to get there sometime. Okay. They always we got to get there sometime.
Paul Kingsbury, you're on blast.
Throwing it out there. It's his birthday today, I believe.
It is. Happy birthday to the boss.
No.
Not Bruce Springsteen, but Paul Kingsbury, who is
probably watching us, taking notes.
Hey, Paul. So happy birthday to Paul. Let's get to Water Springs. And folks, if you want to help us get to Water Springs, let us know. We can do some sponsoring, because it takes money, unfortunately, to get to these games, and we want to be able to get to as many games as possible. So if you're interested in sponsoring the show, sponsoring a game, let us know at E1 Educador, at SKane182, and we'll get you hooked up and get your business on the show, get your business on the game. We'll shout you out a number of times during the broadcast, and we can get to more games and get these players, which is why we're here, right? Get the players, coaches, families, teams on the show and on these games. That's going to be a big one coming up. Rockland at Water Springs tomorrow night, Tuesday. Last one with the ball wins, man. Sean, where are you going to be this week to finish off the show?
I think I've got Century girls games, and maybe let me double check. I was ill prepared. I can't remember if
it's a day off, man.
Century.
You should be thinking ahead.
I can't remember if Century is at Hillcrest or Hillcrest is coming to Century for boys, which I find super intriguing. It is at Century. So tomorrow I'll be Hillcrest boys and Century boys, which I find very intriguing, as Hillcrest, they won championship 2 years ago, second place last year, kind of a new team, but they just lost a very close game to Blackfoot, which is now kind of the leader in the conference, 50-52. But then they've beaten Idaho Falls and Skyline and Bonneville. So they ran the gauntlet of their conference, basically, besides Blackfoot, and they'll play Shelley later. But they have this non-conference matchup against Century, who just lost to conference rival Pocatello in a close game too. So both teams needing a win. So I think that'll be definitely a good one tomorrow. I'll be there tomorrow, apparently.
Okay, right on. We'll worry about that tonight as you're getting ready for tomorrow, maybe even tomorrow morning. Right?
Yeah, I do a lot of the scheduling in the morning, because between broadcasting and PAing and then sometimes being a dad, I get a little busy.
Right. Yeah, you're a great dad, always taking care of those kids. And then, Sean, I'll be Shelley at Skyline this Friday with our buddy Jesse Richens, the other JR of this East Idaho team. That should be a good one. Shelley, just like you said, Shelley needing a win, Skyline needing to keep Blackfoot at bay. Shelley in that third, fourth spot fighting with Hillcrest. So that's going to be a big game. Maybe Shelley beat Blackfoot. Right, they beat Blackfoot earlier in the season. You never know what you're going to get from Shelley. Shelley is scrappy, but they play at Skyline. So Skyline, again, that home court advantage. But Shelley Skyline should be a great one this Friday night.
Yeah, Shelley played Pocatello, for half of a game pretty close too. And then, Pocatello kind of flipped the switch. So Shelley, a team, definitely can compete with anyone in a given night, but do they have enough, to get through 4 quarters? Like, I think we've seen them play 3 to 4 quarters pretty well, but can they play 4 quarters are the Russets. But that would be a huge win for Shelley, no doubt. But yeah, Skyline on a roll as well.
Yeah, definitely. Oh, before we close, Sean, I want to do one more plug for the Pink Night next Monday, January 27th at 6 p.m. Thunder Ridge High School. Proceeds, they're going to do a charity auction. All proceeds are going to go to Dominic Nunez and his family as he is fighting cancer, a rare form of cancer. The dude's 17 years old, great kid. The boys basketball team is putting this on. I think the basketball teams are putting this on, but it was given to us by the boys basketball team. This is the 7th annual Pink Night. Show out to Thunder Ridge next Monday night. Going to be a great opportunity to serve the community and help those in need. Dominic Nunez, we're pulling for you. Hopefully everything goes well in the next 6 to 8 months, and hopefully he can beat this cancer. And we can help him do it by raising these proceeds. If you want more information, you can hit that QR code with your phone and go from there. And also, Sean, want to again thank our Ideal sponsor. Ideal is a state-sponsored tax advantage savings plan that helps families pay for the cost of college. With the rising cost of college, developing a savings plan is the first and most important step in helping families finance a college education. An Ideal 529 account can be used towards higher education, a trade school, apprenticeship, or even those student loan repayments. For more information, go to idsavings.org. That's Sean Kane. I'm Joel Richardson. Sean, have a great week. Hopefully I'll see you around. If not, we'll catch you next time on the East Idaho Prepcast, man. Have an awesome week.
Yep. And then I just also Tiger Grizz Wrestling was this weekend. Big wrestling event. Make sure to check Matt Chat tomorrow night up at Skyline, right? It's the 44th annual Tiger Grizz Invitational. There was 1,100 wrestlers, 800 boys, 300 girls, 1,400 matches in 2 days. So
Wow.
they're going to hit that up. I didn't want to leave out wrestling, but we have a great show that will hit all the winners and on that one. So make sure to tune in to get their analysis. But the 44th annual Tiger Grizz, what a great event up there in Idaho Falls.
That's awesome. That's awesome. And I think our buddy from American Falls, he continued his streak. I think I saw something in the paper where he won yet again his matches during the Tiger Grizz. So congrats to him. For Sean Kane, I'm Joel Richardson saying be excellent to each other. Have a great week. Enjoy all the games. And we'll see you next time on the East Idaho Prepcast on Idaho Sports.